Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
A psychology professor recently taught his students about who the real terrorists are. That's right, conservative white men.
90% are from these white Caucasian men. And by the way, I'm not saying white men are evil, but that's what we should be thinking about. Usually the people who are religiously motivated and politically conservative. And these are the type of people we always think of being like really against terrorism. Most are, but these are also people who kind of fall off the wayside, probably due to things like mental illness, and then do things that are called terrorism and are terrorism.
So this psychology professor was couching his statements in a lesson on heuristics, which is what he defines as a mental shortcut that allows people to solve problems and make judgments quickly. He was essentially making the argument that many Americans wrongly believe Muslims make up the vast majority of U.S. terrorists because they haven't thought long and hard on the matter. Ironically, this lesson took place in mid-October, which was just a few weeks before UC Merced student Faisal Mohammed stabbed 4 people on the Northern California campus, so same school. And after his rampage, Mohammed was found to have an image of an ISIS flag, a handwritten manifesto with instructions on how to behead someone, and reminders to pray to Allah. But authorities have said that his motives were grounded in revenge for being kicked out of a study group. Because you know what? Who would want to kick a guy like that out of their study group? You know what I mean? Just a disgruntled student wants to, write down the instructions on how to behead people. And now the students who actually recorded this video, they did so secretly, anonymously, and they didn't even release it to the College Fix until after they received their grades from this instructor, because of course you are not allowed to question the state propaganda. It's a thought crime to disagree. And this is kind of what's going on in schools. Well, here's another video coming out from O'Keefe. He strikes again. Common Core sting captures an executive saying the program is a scheme to sell more books.
That sucks. Sell more books, and then we have to learn something new, and the student, it's bullshit. It's all about the money. What are you, crazy? It's all about the money. You don't think that the educational publishing companies are in it for education, do you? No, they're in it for the money.
The publishing companies are the winners in this game.
So, of course, that's a great video, but it's only part of the truth. Now, I'm going to remind you about the full story with my interview with liberty activist and Libertarian candidate Lily Tang Williams. She has a dire warning for America, and she escaped communist China, and she wanted to warn the world about how Common Core reminded her of the communist core that she went through in China. So Lily, thank you so much for joining me today. And I just wanted to get right into it because I think that your story is so important to tell, because we definitely can see that there's a slow creep of tyranny happening here in America. For some, it's so slow that they don't even recognize it, if they even want to believe it's happening at all. But you've lived through it. And that's why I thought your story was just so important. So what was it about Common Core that raised the red flags for you?
Well, I got into more research on Common Core last year when I became the Libertarian candidate for House District 44 in Colorado. The more research I dig into, the more scared I become. And just based on 2 principles. One is top-down, centralized government control, nationalized education, nationalized standards, and then that will lead to nationalized assessment and indoctrination, the curriculum. And that's number 1. Number 2 really scares me is that the data tracking, collection of our children, and starting as early as kindergarten, preschool, then we'll follow them to college and to the future employment. That's exactly what I went through in China. And that's why I started to come out to say, hey, this just reminds me the China communist education I had under Mao. And I was very scared. I feel like it's my moral obligation to tell people the truth.
Right. And this is something that we actually are hearing. A lot of parents are concerned about these files that are being built on students, that it can obviously follow them throughout their school careers, but also employers might be able to look at these files. And that's exactly what you've experienced. Talk to me a little bit about these files. I know you mentioned that the schools forced you to keep a diary where you're basically tattling on your family or friends and anyone that might have a dissident opinion. So talk to me a little bit about that. So if there's any parents out there that are getting some of these, we reported earlier this year about an assignment that students were given. They had to go home and check their medicine cabinet and then write in the assignment what was inside their parents' medicine cabinet. So this is obviously very indicative of these personal diaries that you talk about having to keep.
Well, I was born before Cultural Revolution, so then I went through entire 10 years Mao's Cultural Revolution in schools. When I started my first grade, and we were chanting every day, required by teachers, like "Long live Chen Mao, long live Chinese Communist Party, I love my country." And the teachers want us to write a so-called red diary, which is not private. It's the one that you're supposed to be politically correct, and turn them over for teachers' review. In your diary, they want you not to just to talk about your incorrect behaviors, but they do want you to tell them about other people you know, including your neighbors, friends, family members, any incorrect behavior, speeches, even thoughts. We had to do self-criticism about our thoughts on political stuff. We were so young, we didn't understand. So I quickly learned I better not turn in my private diary to teacher. I will turn in the correct one. And in this diary, we supposed to encourage you to tell teacher what's going on in our lives, in our neighborhood. And then we had to quote Chairman Mao's quotations once in a while to show us we are really on the target. And that's really sick because I see that happen in this country where people are encouraged to report on their families and their life, and to be politically correct, to conform what the government wants you to do, and neighbors call police, report on each other. It's just really sick. I went through that. I can see clearly what they're doing in this country.
Right, and then with this household registration, and then you have this personnel file, this is then passed along to whatever government corporations people are going to then be kind of funneled through, where you were just one of 3 people selected to be able to go and work in the law field, right? So if you had messed up, you would have just been sent back to live in poverty.
Yeah, my file followed me since first grade. In this file, my family information, my siblings, and my political beliefs, my family's political class. So they classify people in the red versus black classes, and they know exactly where you live, where your family is from, what do they do, their political beliefs, their religious belief, and if they have any disciplinary actions, and my grades, my behaviors, my psychological profile, my mental health. All that details is in my file. We have to take an updated picture once a year, and that file followed me to middle school, high school, and college. By the only time I broke that tracking system is by coming to the United States. Then they threatened me, you got to sign this piece of paper before you leave. You promise come back to your motherland, or your personal file will be sent back to your hometown in Chengdu, Sichuan province. That means I will lose my professor career in law school in Shanghai forever. I will start fresh when I go back. And also there's always dark shadow there to say I left the country, did not go back on time. It's really that kind of tracking system to keep you under control from birth to death. And that's communist system. I would hate to see that happening in this country.
Right, and it absolutely already is happening in this country. And we already have, they're lauding China for their restrictions on the internet. And again, they're just saying, wow, the Chinese are just doing a really good job there, I guess because they see how high the test scores are. But children are not standardized, but they're forcing them into this standardized form of testing. We actually have a story of an Ohio high school teacher. She won the 2014 Top Teacher Award, and then she resigned at that ceremony, basically saying that she couldn't stand how Common Core was leaving children with special needs behind. And that's exactly what would happen for a student in China. If you're having some issues, you're just going to if you can't pass these tests, you're done for.
Yes, we have a nationalized college entrance exam once a year. That's like really once a lifetime opportunity for you to go to college.
Thanks for watching the show tonight. We'll see you here again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central.
Another GOP debate is upon us.
When you had the World Trade Center go, people were put into planes that were friends, family, and they were sent back. They knew what was going on. They went home and they wanted to watch their boyfriends on television.
Who else would come back like that at the Bushes and the Clintons calling them criminals?
And
this
the
is
Saudis.
amazing. You guys go back to your live feeds.
You see, we don't have rights in America. Only the people who are outside of this country have a right. The only right that anybody has is to come live in America, presumably to live off of us. If that's what they choose, they can come live off of us. They can come create war in our country. That's their right. But people in America don't have rights.
The first and most important priority of the President of the United States is to protect the safety and security of America.
No, it isn't. You're disqualified. You have an oath to the Constitution, and the oath to the Constitution says, and the Declaration of Independence says, you are created to protect our freedoms.
Right.
Not to keep us safe. They didn't want safety. They wouldn't have rebelled against the strongest government in the world if their first priority was safety. Their first priority was liberty. They created a government to protect that. I'm sick of these people.
If we want to defend the country, we have to defend against who's coming in. And Marco has more of an allegiance to Chuck Schumer and to the liberals than he does to conservative policy.
Do you really think that Republicans have fueled the rise of ISIS?
Yeah, where's she been? Who is she?
The allies of ISIS, the Islamic rebels against Assad, that we created a safe space or made that space bigger for ISIS to grow.
We know what's going on. We know these guys are running ISIS. And when they talk about shutting down freedom of speech, he just repeated the exact same stuff he said in his speech. Even talking about how you don't refer to these people as masterminds, he knows precisely what he's saying. These are a bunch of Morlocks, and the American people are a bunch of Eloi. When they talk about serving America, you're on the menu.
Join Infowars January 14th, starting at 7 p.m. Central for another episode of Political Science Theater 3K.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, you can get 6 months free at prisonplanet.tv, but only for 1 more week. Next Monday, the special that only comes around once a year ends. In fact, we've never offered 6 months free before, but I really want to get more people to join and to be able to watch the nightly news, to see the live reports we do, the special reports, all my films, ebooks, and so much more. One person can share their membership with 20 people, and you are funding the absolute, very leading edge, the vanguard of the resistance to the globalist operation on every front. We have to have our own platform that is harder for them to censor, harder for the system to shut down. Prisonplanet.tv. We put out the daily radio show free with the video and audio feeds at Infowars.com/show. But it is the members that get the nightly news exclusively and first, and the commercial-free video podcast and audio podcast that are paying it forward and financing and helping so many other people see the truth when we put the videos on Facebook, YouTube, and it's prisonplanet.tv that finances so much of the cameras, the equipment, the crew, the reporters. You are becoming a prisonplanet.tv member. You get exclusive HD, higher quality, get it first, and then you can download it, share it with friends and family, share your passcode with them, your username. It's a win-win, and then you're helping finance to put it out for free to everybody. Prisonplanet.tv.